Many people think that Darth Sidious already had Darth Vader's name in mind when Anakin turned to the dark side of the Force. Well, if you remember in the Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin is kneeling in front of Chancellor Palpatine or Darth Sidious, that Darth Sidious is staring at him and he says, "I shall name you Darth." And he takes a second or two and he says, "Vader."
Henceforth, you shall be known as Darth Vader.
Why did he pause? I have a very interesting theory about that I'd like to share with you. And my theory states that it was not Palpatine slash Sidious that named Anakin Darth Vader. It was somebody else. So if you'll stick with me, we'll go through all of this and we will see who named Darth Vader actually. And also, in renaming Darth Vader, it reveals that there's a contradiction within the core tenets of the Sith when he named Darth Vader. Some interesting stuff. So stick with me. So, like I said, one pivotal scene in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, includes a moment that contradicts the typical behavior of Sith Lords. Revenge of the Sith fulfills the dark promises made in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, by showing Anakin Skywalker's fall to the dark side and transformation into the Sith Lord Darth Vader. The movie reveals key details regarding Anakin's Faustian bargain, including the origins of his iconic new name upon joining the Sith. Desperate to prevent his ominous visions of Padme dying in childbirth, Anakin betrays Jedi Master Mace Windu and pledges himself to the teachings of Windu's murderer, Palpatine, who is now revealed as Darth Sidious. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. Although Anakin will need to undergo Sith training, the first steps of his Sith lordship involve murdering Jedi and Separatist council members, as well as gaining a new name, and children too. Palpatine gives Anakin his Darth title before pausing and adding Vader to complete Anakin's Sith moniker. The process by which Palpatine names Darth Vader is never explained in the movie. The Star Wars Legends continuity novelization of Revenge of the Sith by Matthew Stover, however, does explain how Palpatine came up with the name Vader. Palpatine reaches into the dark side of the Force and asks it for a name, to which it responds with Vader. While a fascinating explanation for the famous Darth titles, the process of naming Sith Lords is the one time that Sith do not exert control over the Force and instead listen to it, a notably Jedi-like action. A definitive trait of Sith Lords is to use their dark side of the Force, in which they exert their malicious will on the fundamental energy that permeates the galaxy. As their names imply, Sith Lords seek to rule the Force and the galaxy, while the Jedi Knights serve them. Typically, it is the Jedi who listen to the will of the Force and act in harmony with it, while the Sith, by using the dark side, wrest control over it and make the Force serve them. The Sith have a fundamentally different set of philosophies from the Jedi, with a distinctively different code and culture, yet they share some intrinsic traits with the Jedi. The first Sith were former Jedi who fell to the dark side and were expelled from the Jedi Order. Among the few shared practices between Jedi and Sith are the use of their lightsabers and lightsaber combat forms, and, as demonstrated in Revenge of the Sith, their practice of listening to the Force, albeit only in specific instances for the Sith Lords. It's very interesting that the Sith would listen to the Force and not try to force it to give them a name. They sit there and they listen to it, and it complies. It, instead of them forcing and wresting a name out of the dark side of the Force, it complies with them and gives them a name for their apprentices. The Sith and the Jedi came from the same place, and then the Jedi expelled the Sith, and that's where they became the Sith Order, and their ideals and ideologies just split and went their separate ways. They still hold on to maybe one or two Jedi traditions, but not anything else. They're pretty well dynamically opposed, as you see in the movies. And it's really interesting because if you were to say that there needs to be balance in the Force, then you would have equal Sith, equal Jedi. Some people say that the Sith are corrupted by the dark side, and that's a corruption. It's not really part of the balance. But are you saying that if you destroy the Sith, all you're going to have is Jedi? How can you have balance without, yin and yang, basically, for the Jedi and the Sith? You gotta think about that. Well, let me know what you think about Sidious naming Darth Vader. Do you think that Sidious actually sat there and just thought about it and Vader popped in his head? Or did you think he really actually asked the Force for Vader's name? Because Disney will never explain it, because this is in Legends. And Legends said that he went and he asked the dark side of the Force for a name for Anakin Skywalker. And it replied with Darth Vader. But they don't have anything in canon about that. I want to believe that the dark side of the Force gave a name to Darth Sidious, and that's the name that Darth Vader became. Let me know. I'm super interested in knowing what you think of. And if you're interested, you should check out this video. May the Force be with you always.